referrals come from many different sources. It doesn't have to come just from internally with agency staff. It doesn't have to come just from the public. There's many channels that for referrals. But the public has the opportunity, has the ability to submit a referral to the Office of Inspector General. That's their own standalone agency, and they have their own call center, whereby they can report an allegation of fraud, waste, and abuse. OIG is going to make a determination independently as to whether to pursue that allegation, how they're going to do it. They can choose not to pursue it. They can choose right away to open a case and assign it to an agent. Often, they'll submit a request to Social Security. Say, hey, there might be something here. We need some administrative guidance on this. Here's the allegation in full. Can you take a look at this and let us know? Generally speaking, it's about a 90-day turnaround. The agency has about 90 days. Most offices, the vast majority of the times, it doesn't take 90 days. That's our general working parameters for the agency to report back to the Office of Inspector General that this allegation is unsubstantiated, substantiated in part, fully substantiated. There's many different responses that we can provide. And then the OIG would make their own, based on that scenario, would make their own independent determination as to whether to open a case, assign it to an agent, or not.
So you have 90 days to respond to them, but how much time from the time it's submitted to them before you even get it?
Their turnaround is quick. I think it's fair to say that within 30 days, the majority, there's exceptions to everything, but the vast majority of allegations are worked well within 30 days from their inception at OIG. And for those that are asked for the agency to provide some administrative and technical assistance, generally speaking, we turn over the majority of those within 45 days. Sometimes it needs to go out a little bit. It's very rare that it would go beyond 90.
Okay, thank you.
John, you had another question?
I've got a question for the windfall elimination provision. I just have this question regarding that. I'm just curious, and this is on my own behalf, because I have my own pension and I paid into Social Security, but yet I'm going to get penalized in Social Security because I have another pension. I don't know, if you and I both paid the same amount of money into Social Security, why shouldn't I get the same benefit because I paid into it just as much as you have?
We choose to use the word offset rather than penalty. Here's how it works. Here's how the windfall elimination works in principle. If a person receives a pension based on work for which their earnings were not subject to Social Security tax, that person is potentially going to be affected by the windfall elimination provisions. In practical terms, those that it affects are federal government employees under the old civil service system. The civil service federal system, those employees did not pay Social Security tax. There are 16 states, and Nevada is one of them, that the public employees at the state level, state, city, county level, do not pay Social Security tax. In Nevada, it's called Nevada PERS. 16 states like that. Also, if a person works in another country and receives a pension based on work, for which obviously they didn't pay Social Security tax, receipt of that foreign pension based on work would also be subject to the windfall elimination provision. There are certain exceptions to WEP. The first one is that the date first eligible is prior to January 1st, 1986. The grandfather clause that WEP does not apply. That's not date of award, it's not date of entitlement to the pension. It's the first moment in time a person could potentially have taken it, not necessarily when they did. So that's one option. For those that are affected, those folks have been retired for quite some time. So not to say that it couldn't happen anymore, but for those that were first eligible to a pension, a public pension, prior to 1/1/86, most of those folks have retired by now. The other exception is if a person has 30 substantial years of work 30 substantial years of coverage under Social Security, then that also would be an exception to the windfall elimination provision. What WEP does is this. Lower earning employees, when they retire, are given a bend point that a higher benefit, dollar for dollar, in tax investment is paid, as compared to somebody higher out in the economic spectrum. So somebody who worked and made very little, or were on the lower end of the economic spectrum, their return in Social Security investment tax dollars it's a stair-step approach. So the higher a person goes under the economic spectrum, the lower their return, dollar for dollar, in tax investment is going to be in their retirement benefit. So the system is set up as a safety net. It's an anti-poverty program, and at its core, it's an anti-poverty program. With that, lower wage earners are given a higher benefit in comparison to those higher in the economic spectrum. What WEP does is, on paper, for covered earnings, somebody who is a Nevada PERS, let's just say they were a fireman in the state, and they're a Nevada PERS annuitant. For covered earnings, it looks like that person is a lower paid employee, because they're Social Security earners. It only requires 10 years of earnings, 40 quarters, to be eligible for a retirement benefit. So that person could have worked early in their life, maybe they had a part-time job, perhaps they retired as a fireman in this example, and went and did something else that was covered. But all in, over their working life, covered earnings, covered Social Security earnings, are relatively low. But in reality, in actuality, their non-covered earnings were quite high. So their working life, they're higher in the economic spectrum. What the windfall elimination provision does is it removes the extra benefit, or the inflation of the calculation for a retirement benefit from a lower earning employee, and treats them as a higher working employee. In essence, that's what the windfall elimination provision does.
I understand that, and but how do you figure out? I fall in that category, and I'm 57 years old. I'm not going to be collecting Social Security for another 8 years. How can I figure out exactly what my penalty is, or what you want to call whatever
The offset?
The offset. I consider it a penalty because I'm a hard worker and I've worked a lot. I'm getting penalized for me doing two different things. But anyway, how do I figure that out? Because the calculations on this form just,
We can do that for you. We have the ability to tell you exactly what it would be. When you have an opportunity, you visit any Social Security office, let them know that you're interested in a retirement, a pre-retirement calculation. We can pull up, what we would do is we start with your full retirement age, and then we reduce it down. Okay, if you take it at 62, then there's going to be this reduction. If the windfall elimination provision is going to apply, it's going to further reduce it.
well, I know it's going to apply. I just want to know.
What we're going to look at is your substantial years of coverage.
But
If
is
it's
there,
less than
is there a
30.
formula? I mean, I'm a math guy. I can do the math if I could just figure out the formula.
Yeah, I have a windfall elimination provision informational pamphlet on the back.
Right,
I'm
I've got that
happy
here,
to
but
do
it
that
still
too.
doesn't give me much.
It's approximately 5% for every year reduced, and there is a cap. There's a limit. There's a maximum for which it'll apply. But in a very generic sense, very general sense, it's 5% reduction for every year that you do not have 30 substantial years.
So if I have 25 years of substantial earnings, it says 65%. That's a 65% reduction? Or is that?
You receive 65% of what you otherwise would if WEP did not apply.
Okay, that's what I need.
So 35% offset.
You almost got you.
I do recall though, being on the internet and reading that there is a faction of people who are trying to repeal that. Do you know of that?
Okay, maybe we need to, unless you don't want to, I mean, I don't know if you know the answer to that, but
Is there?
I can tell you that
oh, it's okay.
the windfall elimination provision, for those that it affects, it's not a popular it's not a popular thing. There's always, in my tenure with the agency, I always have heard that there are groups lobbying Congress for its repeal.
Correct.
At present, I'm unaware of any legislation that would change web in any significant way.
Mr. Harrison may want to address this as well.
I'll make this last comment. There is a bill, HR 711, Chairman Kevin Brady of the House Ways and Means Committee. It's called the Equal Treatment of Public Servants Act of 2015. So my job, I track a lot of legislation. I'm not an expert at any of it by any means, but I pulled it up real quick. Establishes a new formula for the treatment of non-covered earnings and determining Social Security. Prescribes a second formula to modify the WEP for current beneficiaries and directs the Commissioner of Social Security to recover overpayments from certain individuals. And actually, before I left, I was actually writing a letter of support on behalf of AMAC for this bill. So just to let you know, HR 711 has roughly 60 co-sponsors in the House. So just FYI.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we're going to go ahead and close now. Those of you who had burning questions but didn't jump in,